Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Craig here again. Finally got my hair cut. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So we'll get you back down here. What you're looking at there is a Husqvarna 576 non-auto tune. There's the carburetor. No control module on it. This is the one that I done a video on several months ago. I'm finally getting it back together. There you go. This is I'm going to call this the trash box, or not the trash box, but the parts box build. This particular saw has a 575 piston on it. I've already thrown the original piston away that come out of it. It was all scored up and partially melted. But the difference, I don't know if you can see this, and this is a used piston. Right there, right on the front side of that little transfer slot, right there, has a hole on both sides in the same location. That's part of that Stratos charging. They only had that on the 570s and 575s. The 576s, that was a solid piston, didn't have them holes in it. Maybe I haven't thrown it away. Nope, I didn't. Here it is. See how that's all solid in there. There's no holes in that transfer slot for the Stratos part. Also has a 575 crankshaft in it. 575 rod. Them's all the same, mostly. The difference is the 575s takes a 6202 PT, or not PTO, but mag side bearing versus the 6203 on the 576s. The seals are the same, the crank or the flywheel's the same. The coil will still mount up because I'm using the 576 coil, 576 flywheel. The 575s in the transfer area here has two smaller transfer holes instead of all open like this. So you can make the 575 cylinder work, but 576 cylinder, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I've done a little work up in there, not a whole lot. Hopefully you can see inside the cylinder there. I hope you can all see that. I just smoothed everything out, got in there and opened up the intake just a tad, beveled everything, run a bead hone up in there. I got all of there was a little bit of transfer from this piston. As you can see, the piston wasn't really bad, but it was lean run condition. And the problem with this saw was the seal started leaking, and it leaned out and it ate the large end crank bearing out of it, if you remember that saw. I done a tear down and a examination on it to see what caused the saw to burn up. But like I said, I've done a little bit of work to this. I enlarged the transfers just a little bit. I beveled it right here. I've done some beveling. Basically, I'm ready to put the carburetor, well, the intake assembly. I'm going to take this carburetor apart, so I'm not going to install it as I'm installing cylinder. But I will put the intake onto it, which is, it's a rubber boot system. That's the intake right there, the intake boot assembly. So I will go ahead and get this all mounted up. And the reason the top of the piston's black, I used a black permanent marker, magic marker, whatever you want to call it. Kind of like Blueprinter's layout die. I wanted to see, because it was kind of hitting, because there was little pieces of metal that was embedded up into the top of the cylinder in the squish band. So I wanted to see about where it was hitting so I could know which ones I had to try to dig out, because there's little divots and then there was pieces that were sticking up. Now I've got everything cleaned out. I can run my finger up in there now and I can't catch nothing. It's not the perfect cylinder, but it's the cylinder itself is good. I took an old piston and put some 60 grit sandpaper on it, and I got up in there and I cleaned the squish band up, and I'm going to do a base gasket delete build on this. And I did have this together and tested it with no sealer on here. I was getting right at 21 thousandths, so it should be somewhere around 23 when I've got it assembled. I would figure I'd probably pick up 2 thousandths with the sealer on there. But I'm not going to bore everybody with putting all this stuff on. I might come back and do a cylinder set as I'm setting the cylinder, but this is the original 576 cylinder that come off of it. So everything that I've put on it so far, the new fuel lines, is all OEM, except for the mag side bearing, but that was an SKF bearing that I had. It's got OE seals. Of course, the PTO side is a proprietary integral seal, only available through Husqvarna, like $32 or $38. So okay, we'll pause this, and when I'm ready to set the cylinder, I'll come back and I'll show setting the cylinder. Okay, turn the radio down. I don't want YouTube to ding me for having music on there that's not supposed to be on there. Seems like every time I get a song in one of my videos, they ding me. So we're ready to set the cylinder down. Make sure my rings are in the correct place, which they're not. There that is, and the top one's in. I've already got my 1184-3 bond. Both sides, it's tacked up a little bit. I've lubed the inside of the cylinder, and I put a little oil on the rings and the skirt of the piston there. I did check ring in gap. I've done that prior to doing all this. I want this ring compressor to be just a tad bit lower than what the top of the piston is. Okay. And this is what I was talking about, the intake boot. If you don't put that on before you set the cylinder, you'll never get to that bottom bolt there. So it's time to set the cylinder now. Just like that. We're down over the rings. So I'm going to raise it up. Take my ring compressor out. Now I'm going ahead and run the piston back down to the bottom of the stroke and set the cylinder in place. It's as simple as doing that, guys. That's how easy it is to set a cylinder. Get my bolts here for my cylinder. I know you've all seen this before. This is just blue Loctite. Get my cylinder mounting bolts in place here. It doesn't take a whole lot of thread locker. And I can't get them run down all the way by using this. It's not long enough. But it'll get them started. And so these are hard to see. shut that one all the way down. See, I can't even see that one. And there we go. Snug. Barely snug. Barely snug. Barely snug. Okay, now I'll start tightening them down. Okay, that ought to be more than good enough on them. Okay. We don't have no head slapper. So, let's go on ahead and see what our squish is. This thing back around this way. I know I'll have to have a nut on there to turn that over. A little bit of a, I'm on the cylinder wall. And as you noticed, I've got the crankcase assembly already mounted to the tank handle. Just makes it that much easier to keep control of, to work on. Okay. Let's see about what we've got here. So I'm guessing somewhere around 23. Zero this thing out. Hope you can see that. 23 and a half. I don't know if you can see that on there or not, but that ought to be pretty good. Okay. Well, that's all. I'm not going to bore everybody with putting the rest of the stuff together. From here on, it's just straightforward stuff. So, but there is one thing here I want to show you. It's not really saw related, but it is 2-cycle related. I had a trash pick today, and it literally took me all of about 20 minutes to get it running. Go easy on me. Don't give me a lot of crap. It's free, and I'm going to make a little money on it. It's a Weed Eater brand Weed Eater. It's an FL26. The fuel lines are rotted off of it. I took the carburetor apart and just cleaned it out, put new fuel lines on it, reused the filter that was in the tank, and that's all I done to it. Put gas in it, start it. Well, I had to put some line on it, and I've already used it. thrust it just a little bit more. That ought to be worth a quick $25. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I get this thing done. We'll come back and we'll do a first start on it just so everybody can see it. Take care. See you in the next video.